Welcome to the Mentor Studio, where today's thought leaders and leading entrepreneurs inspire and bring real-world ideas that help you take your career to levels you've only dreamed of. Now buckle in. Here's your host, Michael Silvers.
Hi, everyone. This is Michael Silvers with the Mentor Studio. Now, I know a lot of you will never ever see this because you're going to listen to the podcast. The videos do live on YouTube. So if you want to head over there to the Mentor Studio YouTube channel, that's fantastic. And subscribe, send people over. The other thing, too, I was talking to a pretty big PR person today, and you've heard this on a couple of shows today. And what I was still doing, right, because I'm so triggered, we've been doing these webinars and casts as long as we can, right, since 2005, from what I remember. And I would keep going www dot, right? It's so automatic with me. And she's like, stop doing that. Because the minute they hear www dot, they don't remember anything else. So I have literally, it's thementorstudio.com. How's that? Simple, easy. We don't have to go anywhere else. And, you know, and also as you do podcasts, what's interesting too is just relax. I've heard a lot of podcasts recently. You're reading from scripts like that. Don't do that. People want to know who you are and what you're about. And that's really the biggest podcast right now. It's the ones that are just natural and just easy going. Yes, I understand a lot of stars are jumping into podcasts, but the minute Hollywood opens back up, trust me, they'll all be gone. So just keep doing what you're doing, have a great time doing it, and have fun. And the other thing, too, is a lot of you know that I always destroy names of the guests, right? It's become like a running joke over the years. So, so announce your name to me so I can actually introduce you in the correct way.
Yep, Johann Nogueira.
Johann Nogueira. I was right. I got that. Okay. I had that one. But, you know, also make sure you ask your guest their name. That's also really big, too. That's a really big, especially when you're going to bring them on stage. Gary V, I can get that down. It's easy, it's short. But there's some other people that it just doesn't work out. And make sure also that you know a little bit about your guests, but let your guests earn the right. That's really, in podcasts, you can do a big introduction when you're moving into them going to be doing a sale. But if it's really more about content or information, let them earn the right to the audience because it's much more a great contact point. So with that being said, without any further ado, another great show, The Mentor Studio. Let me introduce you with a thunderous round of applause, Mr. Johann Nogueira. Hey! How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. You're calling all the way from Melbourne, is that correct?
Melbourne, Australia. That's right.
Melbourne, Australia, yeah. And actually on all the shows, everybody wants to talk COVID. We're not going to talk COVID at all today.
Woo-hoo.
So,
oh, God.
right?
That'll be great.
I know. Let's let that one go because then in years when they're watching, they'll be go, COVID what?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's great to have you on the show. And actually, we just got introduced recently, so it's great. But sometimes when you find somebody that you just know there's a connection, you don't know how it's going to look, you don't know how it's going to work out, but stick with it and figure out what that's going to look like. I think that's really critical. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what you do, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, for sure. Background. I started off as an agricultural scientist, and now 20 years later, I own tech companies, investment companies, and marketing companies, digital agencies, etc. So completely nothing to where we started from, but I think most people have that exact same journey, where they start off somewhere and where they end up or where they are on their journey is nothing to do with where they envisioned that they would be. My journey, as I said, started off in agriculture. I was doing my PhD at Melbourne University in secondary biofuels and climate change. So that'll give you a bit of insight into my mindset. And all I wanted to do was change the world. And through that, I realized through science, I wasn't going to be able to change the world. I would be able to, but the topics that I had chosen, it would be relevant probably in about 2050. And who knows if I'd be alive back then. So decided to go down the business route. Started a little eBay business. The little eBay business made more money than my supervisors did. And it took me about 4 hours a week. Now, that was incredible. And I'd never read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week at that time. In fact, I'm going to let you in on the secret. I still haven't read
it. Yeah, but you're living it. Who cares?
But what it taught me was the power of leverage and systems. So, you know, I was working on my PhD 16 hours a day, but I had this little eBay business, which spent 4 hours a week on, and it was making more money than the bosses were. So something told me, hey, you know what? This is the future. So I built 6 more of those. And then I handed that business over to my mother. That's her retirement. So from there, affiliate marketing came about. Not the affiliate marketing that, well, I did dabble into ClickBank, et cetera, and I got the awards and all those things. But we started doing affiliate marketing for the concerts, the events around here. So in Melbourne, we had the Pink concert, then the Michael Jackson, the O2 concert. I'm showing my age now, but basically we became, you know, affiliates for them. And when you're an affiliate, you are spending your own money to advertise in places where you think the ideal clients would be hanging out, and they're going to click and they're going to buy. So we became really good at return on investment of our ad spend. So that happened, that lasted for about 2 years, and then CPA marketing came about, cost per acquisition, for those of you who don't know. Now, cost per acquisition has three main players in the game. You have a vendor. In this case, the ones that we worked in, the niche that we worked in, was the banking industry. So the bank would contact a CPA network, the CPA net, and say, hey, we need 1,000 signups for our new credit card. Now, most people have credit cards, right? So now you have a bank that has launching a new credit card. The CPA network would then find people. They have more than 100,000 affiliates on most networks. And so the affiliates, they wake up in the morning and they go, ooh, what offers can I promote today? And that's generally the mindset. So I woke up one day and said, ooh, what offers can I promote today? And so I found this, this bank offer. And basically the bank pays the CPA network $300 for every lead that they generate. The CPA network pays affiliates about $200 for every lead. I go to Google and go, how much is it going to cost me to buy the keyword Commonwealth Bank credit card application? And it was $6 a click. So I was like, that's interesting. So I buy those keywords, I put a budget on there, and now for every 10 people that were clicking on the ad, one would completely fill it out. So 10 people clicked on it, it cost me $60. One person fills it out, I made $140 profit. There's 1,800 searches every month for just this one string of keywords, right? So
right.
If you were to give me $60 and I gave you back 140, how many times would you do it? You just keep pumping the money back.
Over and over and over. Right? We'd be best friends. We are best friends. We'd be best friends.
So that's the money-making machine. And that's, again, back to the power of having leverage and systems working for you. So now that was just one campaign. I had hundreds of these things running all over the internet. And basically you become addicted to, it's like being a day trader. You sit there and you're just watching the screen, right. You're watching the numbers, you become this programming calculator. And at this point in time, my parents walked into my house and said, we think you're a drug dealer. I said, what? They go, well, you know, the house, the car, you don't go to work, you've got a beard now, and you're in track pants all day. What do you do? What do we tell all the other families? I was like, oh, okay, cool. Anyway, during this time, I meet this other guy, and he's running this event in Melbourne. We've got the Eureka Tower. It's the tallest building. In New York, it would be Trump Tower, etc. The equivalent. So he's hired out the space, the top of it, like very glamorous, a lot of money, except guess how many people he's got registered to come to his event?
Probably nobody. Yeah, I know this business. Yeah.
A big fat zero. And he's about 3 weeks away from his event and he is sweating bullets. He is so stressed. He's like, oh my God, I've got no one coming. I said, cool, let me do your marketing for you. And so I hooked him up. I put up an ad on LinkedIn. Now we are talking 2010. So LinkedIn was still cheap back then. So on LinkedIn, and all it took was a couple of $100 to fill his entire room with 80 CEOs and directors. And he goes, Johann, you have saved, he goes, you have no idea how much stress you've saved me. Other than the money, what else can I give you? I said, give me 15 minutes to talk. He said, deal, you got it. So here I am, this young punk 10 years ago, right? On stage in front of all these 80 CEOs and directors, telling them about lead generation and how lead generation works. So from there, my first real business started, which was a digital agency. And now we employ more than 100 people. That digital agency went over to, we built stuff for the government, for the defense force, for the, the airports, et cetera, facial recognition technology. So we ended up becoming a tech company. And so from becoming a tech company, 5 years ago, I hired a GM. I said, look, I'm not really that interested in doing the whole websites and marketing and stuff anymore. I want to advance and I want to build more cool stuff. My words. He's like, what do you mean? This stuff's cool. So anyway, so we built this other company. This company is a company that builds apps for buildings. So we realized that people who are living in buildings, it's basically a database and it's an ecosystem. So we built an app that basically turned it into an ecosystem with all the stakeholders. Anyone who supplies that building is, is in the app. We took that company from 0 to 20 million in 4 years. Now, to some people listening, they might think, wow, that's really cool. That's a lot of money. For some people listening, they're going to think, that's a pittance,
Right.
But either way, it was an achievement that we had not achieved before. And prior to that, having 100 staff, for any of you who are listening, there's a lot of staffing issues. There's grandmothers dying. Like some people had 6 grandmothers die. I don't even know how that's possible.
It's interesting what happens with employees.
Exactly. And so we built this company, and while we're riding this wave of success, unfortunately, 2 of my friends, they took their lives. Now, it's something that's not really talked about in Australia anyway, but mental health with business owners is a big issue. And there's 70% of business owners that suffer from depression, anxiety. They think that they're going at it alone. They don't know how to grow their business. And so we created another company called Business Authorities. Now, Business Authorities exists to empower and show business owners how to build, grow, and scale their companies. And in its first year, so now if we just track back to my first business, the digital agency, that's built for cash flow. The second business, which is the app business, which builds apps for buildings, that's built for equity. So when it gets to 100 million, we will be exiting that business. And the third business, Business Authorities, is built for impact. So how much impact can we have on the world? Now, I'll define one impact. One impact is if somebody comes to one of our events, a family in the Ukraine gets shelter and food, or they get sorry, my puppy came in.
No worries. He wanted attention.
Exactly. Well, we had your cat yesterday.
Yes, you did. You almost did again.
So one impact is a family gets food and shelter, for example, right? And so we made 1,080,000 impacts in its first year of existence, which is great. So we want to get that to 10 million. That's our goal. So that's a little bit of history. You've just had 20 years of history in the last, how many minutes are we at?
Yeah, no, that's well done. The greatest thing too is that you're always, it sounds like everything you build too, and what I love about what you're doing is you are creating impact. And even if something was built for equity, there's a plan and a system for exactly the way you built it out, which now can be duplicated with pretty much any business if you look at just the hierarchy of the design. And you're right also about businesses right now. If you look at what's going on, business owners right now are actually in major depression because so many businesses, there's so many bankruptcies right now all over the world. There's businesses failing, right and left, and they need to see that there's something else they can do or a way to get out of what they can do. With everything that you've created and this business system, we'll talk about actually the business sort of strategy in a minute, and you can give people hopefully a couple ideas they can use right now to do something. But really, from your background and what you got started, what is a great book or even a podcast you're listening to now, something that just drives you every morning and you remember it? A lot of us was Think and Grow Rich, right? That just happens to be, but there's so many books out there and there's so many great podcasts now and YouTube going on. What are you either listening to right now or what still drives you that you read 20 years ago?
Well, if you're talking about right now, I was going to say you got to listen to the Michael Silver's podcast. But
you're good. The Mentor Studio. That's at mentorstudio.com. That's a shameless. You're good.
So 20 years ago. So again, 20 years ago, I was a failing student who, I failed one of my whole entire years in my university. All I did was play pool and chase tail, right? And then the very next year, I got into first class honors. What was the mindset shift that made that happen? It was Tony Robbins' Get the Edge program.
Okay, Get the Edge, yeah.
Do you remember the Get the Edge program?
Of course I do. I have it still. I don't know what version. I might even have the CDs. So,
I do
I mean,
have
not the
CDs.
the cassettes.
So, that for me, I revisit it every year, if not a couple of times a year, because every time I listen to it, I am in a different space. I am at a different point in my journey, and I will get new things out of it. And it becomes the subconscious programming of what you do and how you relate to your environment. So yeah, so I'd go with that one.
Yeah, I like that though, because it is those things that, and what everybody needs to understand is, yeah, that's a little telling. I know from stage you don't do that, but it's my podcast. What you can do is find that thing, that you latch onto, and you just sort of remember it every day and you start to live it. But change and creation of habits and moving forward is a daily procedure. And if it's all about the money, well, that's a lifestyle. If you want that, that's fine. But if you have that why locked in strong enough where you know where you're going and you're doing it for others, I mean, it sounds like everything you create, even though, you really create because you're trying to change the world. You're still that young gentleman who's going to change the world. But that gets you up in the morning. In the Midwest here, they say it cranks your tractor, but that saying is a funny thing. I didn't grow up in the Midwest. I grew up in LA. But it is, it keeps you going every day. It keeps a smile on your face when the days are up or down. Because there is this perception sometimes of, oh, God, I have a lot of money, I'll just be happy. And how many millionaires I've coached 3 billionaires in my life, and 2 of them were actually not terribly happy at the time.
So I'm currently mentored by 3 billionaires. I'm lucky enough to. I hang around with people who are extremely wealthy, and I think there's 3 versions of them. There's the ones who have all their wealth and they just do what they do, and they have no interest in impacting the rest of the world. Then there's the ones who want to try and change stuff, but they haven't got the right mindset. They achieved their goals. And then the third ones, they're just sad and depressed all the time. And they literally have everything in the world.
That's right. And that is, it's the thing we talk about from a mentoring perspective, because I've always said the way to be wealthy, and this is not just about money, it's 3 coaches, 2 mentors, and a mastermind. And the mentors, it's not just about somebody to mentor in your business. One of your mentors should be lifestyle, but somebody who's actually being of service and making a difference in the world. I think that's an important piece. Now, if I was with the world changing and obviously things are different now, look, Microsoft's not going back to their buildings until 2021. They really just announced all their employees. Work from home, just do it the whole year. We're just staying from. So things are very different. I don't think I'd want to be in commercial real estate right now, but because Amazon's sort of doing the same thing. I live in Seattle. I know they both have literally just sent everybody home and said, we'll see you in 2021. Just keep working and be productive. And the thing is, though, business is changing. There is a change now, but you can be structured so you can always handle a change. What are 3 things that you would tell somebody right now that they can not only use in any business, but they could use right now to help themselves with what's going on? 3 business tips, strategies, ideas.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll give you an example, a real life example of what happened over here. So one of my friends, he runs a restaurant. Restaurants are shut down. We've just got into stage 4. I know we weren't going to talk about COVID, but hey, it's an example.
It's all good.
So restaurant shut down. His livelihood is all messed up. He can't, they haven't been open. He can't pay his rent, blah, 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 blah. So he's sitting at home and he decides, I'm not gonna be depressed about it. I'm gonna start working out. So he starts working out. While he's working out, he's getting his body back. And then he goes, I'm taking all these nutrients. This is the best nutrient company that I've ever come across. And what happens when somebody starts getting fit? They start getting the gym clothes. They start getting the gear. They start getting the nutrients and all this stuff. He said, and he'd heard me talk about joint ventures. It's one of my passions. And so we get him. So he gets a joint venture going between the clothing company that they buy their gym clothes from and the nutrition company. So now every pack of clothing that's going out, they're getting a voucher to get a free trial of this nutrients. It's a free plus shipping offer, essentially, on a subscription base. Now, I think this started in March when this thing all happened. And now he's, at the last report, he said he'd got $300,000 in commissions just from putting that joint venture together. So a restaurant owner who has no business at this point in time because his restaurant shut down thinks outside the box and goes, how can I help this nutrient company get out there to the ideal audience? Oh, look, the ideal audience buys these gym clothes. Let me put these two together and broker a deal. So in the industrial age, when the industrial age came, hey, guess what? There was all these people who were no longer having jobs because the robots were replacing them. One robot replaced 100 people. What do? They have to be reskilled. They get a reskill in their brain, and then they have to repurpose out into the workforce. So this is just a changing of the guard. It is painful for the people who are, who have been doing what they've been doing for a long time, but you have an amazing skill set. You have all these amazing experiences, which if you leverage, you can actually flip it around. Now, a more personal example on that, my wife, we started building all this technology for the government. When COVID hit, me and the team, there was 30 of us working 16-hour days, 18-hour days to get this technology out to our government to try and save as many jobs as we can. But in this time, I did the thing of which no husband should do, which is I neglected my wife. So I wasn't around I wasn't really around for a month because I was so focused, right? Yeah. Anyway, so I catch up with her and I go, how's it going? She goes, well, my business has crashed because her business is, again, personal. She sees people. So she's a financial planner. Her licensee did something dodgy, which meant she's not even allowed to practice anymore. But not her licensee, the people who she gets a license from.
Got it.
She's been paying all of her staff. She's got over 10 staff. And her bank account is... I'm like, holy, I had no idea. And anyway, I'm sitting there going, oh shit, I should have been here. And so then she goes, I started a little Facebook group. I said, fantastic Facebook group. How many people you got? She goes, none. I go, okay, interesting. A week later, she comes up to me and she goes, hey, guess what? My Facebook group has 500 people in there. I said, oh, great. That's really good. Well done, baby. A week later, she comes up, she goes, I'm one away. I said, one away from what? She goes, one away from 1,000 people. I'm like, holy wow, that's amazing. A month later, she's got all these people into her mastermind. Well, not all these people. She has 250 members paying her on a monthly basis for her financial brain, teaching them about budgeting and how to save and how to do mortgages and all this other stuff, who are paying her on a monthly basis where she had nothing. And now she's got a whole new business, which is now thriving and making more money than the other businesses. So she, I'm sorry to use this word, pivoted, but she just created it all out of her head, and look what's happened.
And I love it too, because I like to say shifted, but she made that change, and she made that change. That's fantastic, because now she has a residual. Now she took a look at a different system to do, and that's just brilliant. I mean, because that's the way to do it. So congratulations to her. And I understand that sometimes we get a little crazy busy, even working from home. That's what I always say. Okay, I worked from home for 20 years, but sometimes I work more than people who, right? Especially because I used to be on the road 60, 70% of the time. And the saying we do over here, which might be the same over there, but happy wife, happy life. So, and it is easy to also lose your family in there somewhere. So we're always very careful of that. When the kids, and now it's my grandkids, I've really learned, okay, if I'm going to spend even just half an hour with them, I'm going to just turn my phone off, which is it's hard. I mean, it's no matter what you do, it's that one phone call. It's that, what if Harvard Tony had called me and I had my phone off? They just call somebody else, and it's really realizing that you're not the center of the world. And you have to, especially when you're working on something, you have to remember the people around. So that's a great story. I love it. I love what your wife did. And I love that you realized, whoa, wait a second here. Because you can't get back that family part. I mean, that's what they always say at your funeral. It's how much money you have or how many people are there. Well, it's the people. I've had some people say, just rather have a lot of money. But it just makes a difference.
Well, speaking of funerals, and my father actually said to me, he said, when you come into this world, you are crying and everybody else is smiling. Because when you go out of this world, you have to be smiling and everybody else should be crying.
I like that. That's pretty, I'm going to remember that one. That's pretty good. So, it's been great to have you on today. I'd love to have you back again. I'd love to spend more time. Tell us just for a couple minutes, a little bit more about the Business Authority. And if people want to connect with you, now what my team does, they'll go out and research you, and it'll all be in the transcripts, and there'll be all that fun stuff. And then you'll see what you do too is when you got a team, Johann's actually going to get an email in a couple of weeks when this thing's ready to go live. about 3 weeks from now, that he gets to promote the show to all his people, because that's how he does me a favor. But you got to make it easy for people. If I sent him an email with one little thing saying promote this, he'd be like, well, I don't even know what to do. Make sure your team tells people. Now, Johann, I don't got to worry about, but make sure your team tells people how to promote you, or at least gives them enough so they can put it out there. Because just putting something on Facebook doesn't mean anything anymore with the new algorithms. Correct. You've got to help them a little bit. But tell us how they can connect with you or connect with Business Authority, because businesses are hurting right now. And I can tell you, boy, are you primed for this market in the U.S. We got to talk about that after. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So as simple as go to Facebook and type in Business Authorities Community, and you'll find us there. Join the community. And it's built so that the community helps each other. Or everybody in there is an authority at what they do. You are an authority at what you do, that you're listening to this. So, but you need a team. You need everybody else with the other skill sets. There's about 10 other skill sets that you definitely need to grow your empire. So that's all inside Business Authorities. Or you can just go to businessauthorities.com. AUTHORITIES.com, and you'll find us over there. So thank you so much for allowing me to give a little plug.
No, it's been great. This is great too. And the question will come up too is Business Authority, if somebody's in the US, if somebody's in London, it doesn't matter where they are, does it?
Makes no difference. We've got members from all around the world.
That's fantastic. It is a community, everyone. It's really a worldwide audience, and we're really in this together. I've actually done most of my work outside of the US, so it's how you want your life and your lifestyle to be. I'd actually be living down in Melbourne if it wasn't for my kids. So I keep telling them that, because that's where we were to move about 15 years ago. But it's been great to have you on. Thank you so much. So again, please go to thementorstudio.com, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you'd like to just watch us, but we don't always put these live ones up. It just depends on what my team does. I let them do what they do. But it's been great to have you on, wherever you are in the world, morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you so much. Have a great, wonderful day. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Yep, they'll be hearing that for years to come. And you're all amazing. Johann, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Michael. A pleasure.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
See you. Bye-bye.
We're honored that you invested time with us today at the Mentor Studio. Now, don't be greedy. Share this knowledge bomb with all your dope peeps on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Actually, we'll even pay you to do it. To get the deets, please check out thementorstudio.com.